Hi everyone, it's Alice, and I got a bunch of new books, and I want to show them to you. As always, I'm definitely overestimating how much I'm actually able to read. Like, based on my book buying, you would think that I read about 4 times as much as I actually do, but oh well, here we are. I feel like we're all always living in the hope that we're gonna get to everything we want, and I just get so excited about books, and I just want to read everything. Let's get straight into it though, starting with a classic that I kind of can't believe that I've never read. It's The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I feel like this is one of those books that a lot of people read when they're in their teens and it changes everything for them. Like it's one of those books. I don't know why I've never read this. I read quite a lot of classics when I was younger, and this one just slipped me by for some reason. I don't even really know what this is about. I think it's about a young woman who has a breakdown or something and things turn quite dark. It says on the back here that it follows an intern who works for a New York fashion magazine in the summer of 1953, and it does mention that she's losing it a little bit. I'm excited to read this. I wonder if it's one of those books where I'm gonna read it and be like, oh, I wish I'd read it when I was younger, or if I'm just really gonna love it now as well. But excited to have this. It won't be my first thing that I've read by Plath because I've read some of her poems, but it will be my first full novel. Then we have a mystery and horror section, starting with one of my most anticipated releases of this year. It's The Unworthy by Agustina Bazterrica. This is the author who wrote Tender is the Flesh, which I read and it really made an impact on me, so I am really looking forward to reading something else by her. It sounds wild, but also like something that I would really like. It's about this woman who lives in a convent. I don't actually know if she's like a nun or not, but she's living there and she's in a sisterhood, but she's in one of the lower ranks and she's deemed an unworthy, whatever that means. And she dreams of ascending the ranks of the sisterhood, and she's taught to be grateful that she's even there because the outside world seems to be in chaos. I don't know what's happened to it, but it seems like things aren't going very well outside. And she's there, and then I think a stranger comes into her life somehow, maybe another unworthy, and this other person really makes her question where she is and what they're doing in this convent, and also why she can't remember anything from the time before, and she doesn't remember how she got there. And it sounds very mysterious, and I'm sure because it's this author, it's gonna be dark and kind of wild. And I'm very excited. Then I got this book, which has an excellent cover. This is Victorian Psycho by Virginia Feito. And this came out not too long ago as well, so this is also a pretty new release. And it follows this woman who goes to work for this family, and she's prepared to be the perfect Victorian governess to take care of the kids of the family and all of that. But she's also fighting with some internal compulsions. I don't really know what those compulsions are, but she doesn't seem like a great person. And I don't know if it veers into the supernatural or if she's just a little unhinged, but I just think this sounds really interesting. I also feel like, I mean, this cover is doing a lot for me, but I feel like this is one of those books that I could really like, and it's the kind of horror that I might get into because I don't like horror when it gets too scary, and this just seems a little wild, which I'm into. I actually haven't seen a lot of reviews for this yet, but I'm just gonna go in blind and see. I feel like this could be a great summer read, like a horror for summer. Next, I got these two books that are both a part of, I think it's called the Summer Suspense series or something like that. And I read the first book last year and I really enjoyed it as a lighter type of mystery. So I got these two to read this summer as well. So we have The Bay and The Creek, both by L.J. Ross. Now these are in a series, but I'm pretty sure you can read these out of order. I don't think they follow any of the same characters or anything. I think the only thing that they have in common is that they're mysteries and they're set in summer. So they kind of have the same vibe, I guess. But the first book I really enjoyed because it was atmospheric and it was one of those mysteries that didn't require a lot of brain power, which I really enjoy sometimes. The creek is set in a small community of fishermen where a woman flees with her son and then tragedy strikes. And then the bay follows a detective in a small seaside community where I think a body washes up on the beach or something, and this has something to do with like long buried secrets or something like that. I really enjoy those kinds of stories. I am probably a little bit delusional in thinking that I'm gonna get to read both of these this summer, so I probably didn't need both of these, but you know, a girl can dream. Moving on, we have a graphic novel, and I've wanted this for a while, so I'm really excited to finally have it. It's The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag. This is a fantasy romance YA type of story, and it's about this girl who lives on an island, and all she dreams of is just getting off this island because she's not that happy there, and she's carrying around a lot of secrets, including the fact that she wants to kiss a girl. And then I think she almost drowns one day and she's saved by this other girl and they become friends and maybe something more. It just sounds and looks really sweet and very summery. And I really like these kinds of standalone graphic novels. I can never get enough of them, so I'm excited to read this. I actually haven't read any graphic novels by this author, I think, but the style reminds me a little bit of some of, I can't remember any of the artists' names, but I've read a couple of other graphic novels like this and I usually really enjoy them. Next, we have a pretty sizable fantasy and sci-fi section, starting of course with a book by T. Kingfisher. It's Paladin's Grace, and this is not a new release, but this cover is a new release, and it's kind of like old school and I'm kind of obsessed with it. This series has 4 books and they've all come out with these kinds of covers and they're all beautiful. I barely even know what this is about because anything by T. Kingfisher, I'm just like, yeah, I'll try that. She never disappoints me, so I'll read anything she writes, to be honest. I do think that this follows like a perfumer or something like that and a knight who have to go on the run because they witness either an assassination or a murder or something like that, and maybe they also have to try to find the killer. I don't really know, but it says on the back here that this is a darkly whimsical, cozy fantasy. And yeah, of course I want to read that. Secondly, I got a book that I have been recommended several times. It's Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki. And this is like a sci-fi or fantasy, I'm not really sure, but it follows a main character who makes a deal with the devil or with some sort of demon to escape damnation. And what she has to do in return is she has to like give this devil or something 7 violin prodigies and she has to convince them to give up their souls for success or something, which like, girl, what are you doing? But I think she does it. When we meet her, she's done 6 and she's about to deliver the 7th, but then she meets someone that makes her question what she's doing, and I think all of them get like entangled in some sort of mess. I don't really know what's going on, but it sounds interesting, and I've heard a lot of good things about this, so yeah, it sounds a little weird and kind of dark, which makes me think I'm really gonna like it. Then we have a translated book. It's The Lantern of Lost Memories by Sanaka Hiiragi. And I just love these kinds of like slightly magical translated books. Like I can never get enough of them. This one is about a photo studio where you can visit before you move on to the afterlife. So after you've died, but before you move on, you can go to this place and you can see like photos of your entire life. And I think you get to pick a moment that you get to like relive or something like that. I'm not totally sure, but I think it's the kind of thing where we meet several characters who visit this place and we get to see their lives, which I usually really enjoy. I'm wondering if there is a cat in this book because there's a cat here and on the back. And a cat in a book always makes it better. Then we have a book that I've wanted to read for a while, but I've also been a little bit apprehensive because the adaptation of this book is one of my favorite movies, and I always struggle with that, like whether I should read the book after or not. Like, I just never really know, but I want to give this one a go. It's Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. If you've seen the Studio Ghibli adaptation of this, you'll know that this follows a woman who becomes cursed and transformed into an old lady, and she basically has to do all of these things to get out of it. It's kind of hard to summarize because there's a lot going on, but that's the gist of the story. I love the movie so much. I do know that this book is not exactly the same, so I know that they differ. And I'm also a little bit confused as to what the movie adaptation is of, because this is the first in a trilogy, I think. And I wonder if the movie is like all three books or just this first one, but either way, I think the movie is magical, so I'm hoping this is going to be a magical read as well. Then we have a witchy book. It's From Bad to Cursed by Lana Harper. And this is the author who wrote Payback's a Witch. And I think that this book is kind of like in the same series. I think it's set in the same town, but we're not following the same characters. So is it in the series? Is it not? I don't know. But I really enjoyed the first book. It wasn't like a new favorite, but my enjoyment level of it was really high and I felt really sucked in. And I loved the setting of it because it was set in this town where there are all of these magical families. And I think this is set in the same town. We're following other characters, and I think they're from opposite sides of like a feud. So there are two families. They're like, I don't know. They're not getting along. And it is like a rom-com, so I'm guessing there's some romance in here. And I just think it's gonna be a good time. That's what I'm hoping it's gonna be, because that's what the first book was. On to some more cozy fantasy. We have The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. And this one just drew me in with the cover, and I read on the back that it was cozy, and I was like, great, I'm gonna need that. It follows this teller, like fortune teller, who travels around, and she only tells small fortunes because it says something about how telling the big ones sometimes have really big consequences, so she avoids those. And it's quite a lonely life, but eventually throughout this book she is joined by a thief, a baker, and a magical cat. And how these creatures join her journey, I don't know, but I'm very excited to find out. This just looks delightful. Then we have a book that I think is going to have a little bit of mystery and adventure to it, at least it seems that way. It's A Master of Djinn, which is set in Cairo in 1912, and we are following this woman who is working for the Ministry of Alchemy, Enchantments, and Supernatural Entities. And already, we're off to a great start. Like, I definitely want to read that. I think she gets put on this case where a secret brotherhood is murdered, and she has to figure out what happened. I don't really know, but it sounds great. And like, there's mystery and some supernatural elements, and like, I don't know, the setting and all of it, it just makes it sound perfect. So I'm really excited about this. I've never heard anyone talk about this, but it sounds great to me. Lastly, for this section, we have a book that a lot of you have recommended to me. It's Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Now, I've never read anything from this author, but a lot of you seem to think that I would really like this one, so I'm gonna give it a go. And I do think that it's sort of like cozier fantasy. I'm not quite sure. It follows this girl who has lived her whole life on the island that is her home, but she ends up going on some sort of adventure. She has to go on like a sea voyage to find a sorceress or something. I haven't really fully grasped what's going on, but I think that there might be pirates in this, which is always cool. We then have a few historical fiction books, starting again with the book that I've been recommended a lot and I've been meaning to read for a while. It's Lincoln and the Bardo by George Saunders. I've heard a lot of good reviews for this. I know that this is one of those books that's not for everyone, but I think that I'm gonna like it, especially because a lot of you have recommended it to me. I think this is set over the course of a single night in 1862 in a graveyard. I don't know if I'm making that up, but I feel like I read that somewhere. And it's set when, like, during the Civil War, and it says it's a story about love and loss, and that's all I really know. This is one of those books that I feel like is gonna, like, break my heart, but I'm really excited to read it. It does say on the back here, how do we live and love when we know that everything we love must end? Which makes me think that this is gonna make me cry. The second one is one that just looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's The Agency for Scandal by Laura Wood, which is set at the end of the 19th century, and we are following an all-female detective agency, which, duh, I want to read about that. I think we're following one of the detectives in this agency who gets pulled into a case with like blackmail and jewels, and somehow like the man that she's in love with but doesn't know that she exists is also involved in this case somehow, and I don't know. I just think it sounds like a lot of fun and like a little bit of a romp. I hope it's like sort of witty and yeah, it is kind of chunky, but the font is pretty big, so I don't think it's going to be like a very hefty read. And I also really like this cover and the spine, which is like flowery. And yeah, it is the first in a series as well, so if I like this one, there's more to read, which is always exciting. Next, we have some contemporary books. First up here, we have A Dream Count by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, which is super exciting because a few years ago I tore through all of this author's books and I loved them, especially Americana, and so I'm excited to see her write something else because I think it's been a while since she's published anything. I would read this no matter what it was about, but it does also sound really enticing to me anyway. It follows four women, and the book is all about their love and life and longings and desires, and they all have different careers, and the story is just about their lives. And I really like books where women take a look at their own lives and existence and start questioning things, and I just know it's going to be good because this author is a really good writer and I really like the way that she writes characters. They always feel so real. So I'm excited to meet the characters that we're going to meet in here. And it's just exciting to have this because I really like this author. With this next one, I got it because I'm always looking for fiction books with archaeology in them. Like, it's one of those things that is really difficult to find, but I would like to read more of, so I had to get this one. It's Excavations by Kate Myers, and this is set at an archaeology site in Greece, I think, and we're following four women who make this discovery, and these women aren't friends, and it seems like they're not really getting along, but they find this thing and they have to come together and they have to build like some sort of friendship to make sure that this thing that they found doesn't get buried because it's kind of like weird, and for some reason someone doesn't want it to be found. I don't really know, but I feel like the archaeology bit and the female friendship, or like at least female dynamics, it could be interesting. I'm trying to not get my hopes up because I know that this doesn't have great ratings and it has kind of mixed reviews, but I think maybe I could like it. Then we have another translated one. It's The Convenience Store by the Sea by Sonoko Machida, and this is about a 24/7 convenience store by the sea that seems to be a little bit weird. I don't really know why it seems that weird, but there is something weird going on. There's something about I think the store owner has a fan club or something, which is strange, and the customers are very eccentric, and it seems like whenever you go in there, the store has exactly what you need, no matter what it is. I don't know, but I really like these kinds of books that have like weird shops or like slightly magical. I don't know if there's something weird going on or not, but I'm excited to find out. I also love this cover and like the vibe of it, so I hope that this is the vibe on the inside as well. Another book I've been meaning to read for a while is The Elegance of the Hedgehog by Muriel Barbary, which is one of those books like back in the day, years ago, I saw this everywhere. It might have been around the time it came out, but I just never got around to it. But I feel like now is the time. It's translated from French, and I feel like I have really good luck with French translations, which makes me very excited to read this. And I think it's set in an apartment building in Paris, and we're following different characters within this building. That's all I really know, but I have a really good feeling about this book. I'm trying not to get like super hyped on it, but I think I'm gonna love it. It sounds amazing. Then we have some short stories, which is actually just this one collection that I got. It's Lesser Known Monsters of the 21st Century by Kim Fu, which I've been recommended loads. I'm trying to read more short stories this year because I used to read a lot of them and then I fell out of the habit, so I'm trying to get back into them. And with short stories, it's always really difficult to suss out what a collection is actually like before you read it. So whenever I get a lot of recommendations for at least one, I'm like, I'm gonna give it a go and see what I think. I have no idea what this is about. It has 12 stories and it's kind of like fantasy, sci-fi, magical realism. I'm not quite sure, but I've heard a lot of really good things about this. So I'm just gonna go in blind and see what I find. Lastly, I have a couple of nonfiction books, which, now that I think of it, I really have not read a lot of nonfiction this year so far. I actually don't think I've read any, so I really need to get on it, which works out well because I got a couple of new ones that I can read, like this one, which is beautiful. It's called Our Green Heart, and this cover is just gorgeous. I saw a review for this that just made it sound amazing. It's a book about science and forests and trees, and I think the author is like a biochemist and a botanist or something like that. And I really like reading about nature, so whenever I see like a really good review for a nature book, I immediately just want to get it. Then lastly, now that I'm holding this book, I'm realizing that this is probably technically not nonfiction. It's Odyssey by Stephen Fry. I just thought this was nonfiction because the other books in this series that are like all about Greek mythology, some of them are like categorized as nonfiction, but this is a retelling of the Odyssey, which I guess technically is maybe not nonfiction then. But either way, this is the fourth book in Stephen Fry's like mythology retellings series. I've really enjoyed the other ones, and I haven't read the Odyssey. I'm familiar with it, but I haven't fully read it. So I think reading his like version of it could be really cool. I also really like this cover and edition, and I've just really enjoyed the other books, so I think I'm gonna like this one as well. It does actually have like illustrations in the middle, which you don't get in fiction books, so maybe we can call this nonfiction. I don't really know, but I'm excited to read it. Okay, that was the last book for today. Lots of exciting new books. There's a lot of them, so I should really probably go read now, actually. But it's the end of the video, so I guess I can go do that now. I would love to know, though, if you've read any of the books that I mentioned, or if you have picked up any exciting new books lately. I would love to hear about it. As always, thank you very much for hanging out with me today, and I will see you soon. Bye!